Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Katie Hughes, celebrity and editorial makeup artist, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to use products for their unintended purpose. As a makeup artist, I think that we use things a lot not for their intended purpose, and I think it's time to lift the lid and unlock the gate and not get, I don't think I've ever been a gatekeeper, but this is the opposite of gatekeeping in this video. Let me just mess with my exposure just a little. Okay, so right now I've just got on a little bit of eyeshadow, a little bit of concealer, a little bit of blush, and just remnants of lipstick. I've been out this morning and had breakfast with my mom and dad and Tarek in Jersey, and I'm gonna just work on top of what I've got on. So for example, one product that you can use in multiple ways, an eyebrow gel, an eyebrow liner, my apologies. This is Bold Brow Ambition from Nabla. Wearing it in my brows right now, exactly this one shade and only this one shade. So this is it, just so that you can see how I use it, okay? So that's how I would use it. However, in a pinch, I would also use it as a freckle pen. So just flicking on or spotting on a few little freckly marks just to create a few sun kisses and create a little dimension. This is also a really nice thing to do after complexion because it allows for you to make the complexion look like it's not there if the freckles are visible. Doing a little on my beauty mark. This one too, and this one too. So ignore my precision right now because I'm sort of just using my phone as a lens. Another thing that I would use this for is eyeliner. I've already got a little bit of a black liner on, but I actually love this for a liner because it gives you almost like a stain, so you can't really tell because I've always got something on already, but you can sort of see it transferring. And the beautiful thing about it is because it's sheer and not so full coverage, it's giving me a lot of flexibility with how it applies. So I'm going to close that up. I always store my brow pens upside down in a jar, very important. This one's not going to be much of a surprise to many people, but a blush stick. This is the Pat McGrath Forbidden Fleur is the shade of the blush stick, and this is, in my opinion, an amazing thing to use on the lips and the cheeks. So just a little stain here. Essentially, if you keep applying it quite lightly, building it so that you get like a lot of payoff, as I'm kind of applying it to the mouth, when I'm rubbing it in, I'm kind of rubbing away the shine and the emollients from the stick, leaving behind the stain. So I think that that's like a really nice way to apply product and ensure longevity is really sort of pack it on. Like, don't be afraid to like pack it on and like maneuver it around and then pack on some more, because each layer is going to sort of sink in and all those emollients are going to sort of leave with the pressure of your finger, and the stain is going to be left behind, and that gives you the opportunity to build that stain. On the cheeks though, of course, it's I didn't even leave really much behind on my finger. On the cheeks, it's just a really quick little hint of color. And I love going for something a bit bolder on my lips and my cheeks in the blush stick category because I think that I can mix this with foundation and sheer it down. I think I can get much more out of a shade like this than I could from a shade like this. Like, this is very close to my complexion. However, I can't really boost that. I can if I want to put a red lipstick into it and like really cocktail all my textures. But, which I'll get to in another video, like how to really make the most and make the most out of every single thing that you've got. For example, I want to show you what I meant by what I just said. So you could take a lipstick, NARS Get Lucky in the Power Matte lipstick range, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this M Cosmetics moussey kind of texture. This is the shade Peanut. So there's some on my hand, you can see. If I mix that with that, I will get somewhere in the middle of both. So I wanted to show you that because it's not bad to have shades like this. If you've got a red lipstick, your favorite red lipstick, whether it's a berry or whether it's like a dark brown or whether it's like a, you know, whatever color you consider your bold shade, use that shade to mix your blushes and mix in with other lipsticks and really sort of make your products go further for you, because that's really like such a advantage. All right, so I'm gonna close that up for now, and I'm gonna close this up for now. And I'm looking at what else I've got to show you. Okay, here's another multi-use product. So this is the Plasma Lip Compound from UBEAUTY in the shade Flush. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna apply a tiny, tiny bit on my fingers. And I'm just gonna start by just seeing what the opacity of it is. Okay, it's pretty full coverage for a lip balm, so I can use a little on the mouth like this. However, you know where I'm going with this, right? Everything, in my opinion, is a lip and cheek. Everything. It wasn't formulated for the cheek, so obviously up to you whether you do this or not. I've never ever had an issue when I use lip products on my cheeks and cheek products on my lips. So it's totally up to you if you feel comfortable doing this or not. But what's really nice about that is it's given me a little bit of a radiance and a little bit of sheen. And I will definitely be doing that again with these because that was the first time I've ever done that. Now, another way to really use, I don't have a setting spray. I wish I had a setting spray here. I'm starting to learn with all of these things that I have on my table, what I need and what I'm missing from my routine. All right, bronzer. So this is a really cool bronzing hack about how to use a bronzer in a different way than maybe what you thought. So obviously cream bronzer, beautiful before foundation, beautiful after foundation, or even by itself if you don't wear foundation. There's no right or wrong. I'm just trying to find a brush that I would want to apply this with. Let's just go for I'm gonna go for this. So this is my number 20 brush from Spectrum KJH. Picking up a little of this Say bronzer in the light bronze. And I'm just gonna go into the lip, just there. I would do this with my Seychelles from Rose Inc as well. Just really sort of use it almost to like as a bit of a lip contour. I saw JLo do this, which makes me think that Mary Phillips may have shown her this, or Scott Barnes. Or maybe she's just been doing it for forever, who knows? And it's just a nice way to add fullness and volume without adding a liner per se. And I think that's a really nice little hack. Also, actually, another little hack with a bronzer isn't particularly an application method, it's more of a brush size. I think going for a small, teeny little brush, this isn't in production, this is just a sample from Spectrum, going for a small, tiny size and just pinpoint applying your product in the area where you've got a little bit of natural shadow to begin with, just gives you that like sculpted look without hardly any product and hardly any effort. So just by looking for where the shadows exist in your face and enhancing those shadows with a tiny bit of product on a small brush, small brush, and the same goes for the eyelid. So this could go in the eyelid here where I have natural silhouette, a little sunken in area. I like this bronzer a lot, it's very, very nice. And then anywhere that you see a shadow that you're looking in, just blend into there, put your jaw up and then blend down. And that's it, easy. So it'll be interesting to see what the before and after of this makeup looks like. Maybe I'll take a freeze frame from the beginning and do a side by side. Okay, so cute, great. So bronzer is not just bronzer, it's also like a sculptor, which I think is kind of like a no-brainer, but you might not know. The one thing I was going to do with the setting spray, if I did have one, was actually use it to wet an eyeshadow to create more out of an eyeshadow. For example, like this Revlon shade, if you put this with I mean, it's already pretty intense and amazing by itself, but if you put that with a setting spray like a Fix Plus or the All Nighter from Urban Decay, you will actually get so much more from it. All right, I'm going to do a little stretch concealer. Actually, I'm not going to do stretch concealer. I'm going to show you one of my other favorites that's new. This is Tower 28. Tower 28's new one. It is called Swipe, and I am using the number 4, and I'm literally just gonna go here and here. I'm actually gonna go quite big here because this is a way that I don't think people use concealer very much, and I think it's a really good hack. So first I'm just gonna blend into here and just make sure that my placement stays relatively where I wanted it to be. So just under the eyes and down the nose, and with what's left on your brush, always, always, always skim the edges of the nose, because it's a really good way to just sort of get that little bit of product in there without too much creasing or without too much moving around. Okay, so just a little of that, and then just tap it into the blush to blend into the blush. Now, what I'm gonna do is just get rid of that into there. Okay, so there's always something in the brush, even if you don't see it on the tip physically, there's always stuff in the brush to use. So now I'm just going to use the angle of this brush. This is called the Eco Tools Angled Foundation. And I use the angle of the brush and really scoop down this concealer from the top of the ear down toward the mouth. Just keep going, and then when it creates a line, I'm going to blend it down into the jaw. Okay, and then I'm just going to see where I am. So do you see what that just did? It's not finished, so don't judge this very brightness that I have here, but it gave me more contour here because it's providing more contrast between the bronzer that I had on and the slightly lighter concealer. I'm better in number 5 of this Swipe Concealer from Tower 28, but I also really like number 4 as a brightener. And it is just such a gorgeous serum-y consistency. It's a beautiful product. So as you blend it in, you'll see that if you find that the line is too hard, you can cut into the blush or the contour and then cut down just to soften the edge. And then you can essentially just do the same on the other side. Okay, so just cutting into this a little. Great. And if you felt like it was too light, it's popping a lot because my shadows are quite contrasty right now. I'm just gonna take a touch of Stretch Concealer in the shade Light 2 and just pop that right over the top just to take the edge off just slightly. Hardly any product. You really need very little product when you're doing your makeup. I think it's really important to stress that. Like, you don't need much at all if just to create even a full coverage effect. It's just a case of like where the placement of it is. Okay, so then what else am I going to show you? Powder. This is all actually very fresh and relevant in my mind because I did my friend's makeup yesterday to show her what to do for her wedding next week in Italy, and a lot of these tips and tricks I kind of relayed to her. For powder, I think it's really important to get comfortable with tiny brushes if you don't like the look of powder and if you feel like powder makes you look cakey. This is the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and I'm going to take my number 11 KJH Spectrum, saturate the brush. Now I'm going to be real precise about where it goes. I'm going to go right inside the nostril there, around the nose, nasolabial folds, whatever they're called. I don't think they're called that, but anyway. And then I'm going to go right under the eye there where it's really, really shiny, and be really precise about my placement because I actually really like the sheen everywhere else but a few zones. And this tiny little brush gives you control of where that shine control is, as opposed to a big brush. You'll be getting the powder in your eyebrows, it will be flicking off into your hair, it might be going into your eyelashes. I think it's important to really be precise and placement oriented with your powder if you don't like a powdery look. If you like a powdery look and you like a matte look everywhere and you're gonna go back in and groom over your eyebrows after you have powdered, just to make sure that they've got no powder particles in them, then you can. I remember doing somebody's makeup when I was much younger, and I remember like foundation being in their eyebrows. I was like, it's a similar thing, you know? So just like that. And then if you did want to go heavier, you could take a smaller, this is again not in production, it's like a larger version of the number 8 with a pinched ferrule. You could just go like that. But actually a really good brush for this is the flat concealer brush, the flat foundation brush. I think it's number 6. But you see how a small brush just gives you control, and you can still maintain like a shiny, a shine-free finish, all the while having the shiny areas still be shiny. So where are we? We are 12 minutes in. This was, I think there's a lot of tips and tricks here. I'm going to do a quick last minute one with KJH Brand and Hypershine Highlight Pigment in pink. I'm going to bring it real close to the lens so that you can see the color. Actually, it's overexposed because of the lighting. I'm just going to use my fingertip. And actually no, I'm not. I'm going to use a brush because I want to show you pinpoint placements. This is my number 15 from KJH Spectrum. So I'm going to just take a little on the tip of the brush, both sides, right? So I've got a little saturation on both. I'm going to use a little here. This is the highlight version of the powder trick that I just showed you. A little here. I'm not going to blend it just yet. A little there. A little there. Okay, so there are all these little spotlights across my face. Just little tiny placements of product as opposed to a lot of product. Okay, so now I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to remove the excess onto my towel on my lap and just get all the texture out of the towel. And then I'm going to blend those areas into a blend so that there is no longer a dot, but there is a slightly bigger area that is diffused. Do you see? Same goes here. This is a cream. It's like a cream-like, texture that's like very full coverage with a lot of opacity and a lot of pigment and a lot of pearl. We did not scrimp on how much pearl went into this product. And then if I don't want it to come too far down the sides, I can just do that. And then for the eyelid, I'll do a quick blend there. And I think that's about it. And then my other favorite place to wear this is honestly on the Cupid's bow. And a little on the fuller part of the lip like that, just to give it a pop. What else? those are all the tips and tricks that I've got for you right now. If you have any questions about any of the other of what I just shared, or if you have any that you want to share with the group, please do comment it below. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do. If you found this video helpful, feel free to share it with a friend. I'm really trying to grow this channel, so if you do think these videos will be helpful to others that you know love hearing tips and tricks in makeup or makeup lessons or just beauty content in general, I would love if you would share it with them. But until next time, I will see you on Wednesday. Lots of love. Bye.